Hello and welcome. Well, this week's video is going to be a little bit different. By way of explanation, the past couple of weeks I have been suffering from some really debilitating headaches nearly constantly. Kind of takes the wind out of your sails. I did have a CAT scan a couple of days ago and it came back clean, so it's nice to know that those possibilities that nobody likes to think about are not anything that I have to think about anymore. So I haven't really been doing a lot of riding or working on bikes or anything this week. I've been taking it very easy with little choice in the matter. So what I did was I took a bunch of video that I had already shot and I put together a new compilation with new commentary, and it's in praise of my cheap budget fat bike. I hope that you enjoy the video and that you'll pardon the shortcut. Hope to be back to normal next week. So here it is. This is my 2018 Mongoose Dolomite. I bought it from Wal-Mart.com and it was delivered to my nearby store and assembled there, and I will say for the record, assembled very well. The bike cost $279. Now it came with a fairly narrow steel handlebar and a 1x7 drivetrain. I upgraded the cockpit, the pedals, and the drivetrain. It's now a 30-tooth with an 8-speed freewheel with a, I want to say off the top of my head, 14 to 34-tooth range. And basically I was after that 34-tooth low gear. Made climbing a lot easier because this bike is steel framed throughout and weighs a whopping 43 pounds from the factory. So yeah, I'm not going to win any races with it, but then again, I don't race it. I am what I have in the past described as an enthusiastic amateur, and that remains true to this day. Now the thing about fat bikes is I think they are a bit of a regional niche product. Clearly they're good in snow, so I would say that probably relegates them to the northern tier of the state, probably from the Rockies eastward. Certainly here in Maine they are a snow machine. I don't think they're really that popular from what I've seen around in other areas of the country, although I would suspect that they'd be a lot of fun riding down the sand dunes in the American Southwest, but again, in Maine, that's really not a thing. Now, what is a thing is this is a fun bike. At the end of the day, it is a hoot and a half to ride, and that's why I ride it all year round. These big fat tires with the low volume and the low pressure give it fantastic grip, and even though the bike itself has no actual suspension, this does provide some compliance. And that is why it is so much fun to ride in the summertime. And, it's really funny sometimes to be out riding and I'm on this bike and I come upon somebody else who's riding a skinny tire bike, and that's sort of a relative term when you're talking about mountain bikes. And sometimes these folks look at me like I'm from Mars. It's like, what are you doing? This is not winter. You should not be riding this bike. But it is still fun. And the handling dynamics of a fat bike have an interesting feel, I guess you could say. With all that rotating mass up front, it does, the weight asserts itself when you're turning the bike. It takes a little getting used to. It's like a gyroscope that doesn't want to turn. You remember in high school we did that old experiment by spinning a bicycle rim and then trying to set it off its axis? Well, it's kind of like that. But by the same token, that big tread gives it fantastic grip on soil. So riding in the dirt on this bike is also a lot of fun. And I like getting out in the woods when everything is fresh and new. I know it sounds a little sappy, but that's my thing. I like that. And this is a great bike for it. In the beginning of this video, I forgot to mention that I also upgraded the brakes from cable discs to hydraulic discs. I got a Zoom hydraulic setup, believe it or not, for like $35. Now I did that as kind of a joke because I didn't expect $35 hydraulic brakes to be really any good. To my everlasting surprise, these have worked really well the whole time I've had them. Now winter's nice, spring and summer are great, but in all candor, my favorite season is autumn. I really like being out in the woods when the leaves are changing color, the air is a little bit drier than it was in the summer, the days are warm and the nights are kind of cool, and the woods just smell so fantastic in the autumn. This is especially true if there's been a recent rain and the leaves are beginning to mulch up a little bit, and it's just a wonderful time of the year to be out and about. And again, this fat bike with its big soft tires and huge grip is great when you're riding over a lot of downed leaves and pine needles, which can be a little bit slippery. Not to say that I haven't skidded out a couple of times, and once or twice may have been intentional, but I'll never admit that publicly. Much. But seriously, this bike is just well suited to riding any kind of terrain, any time of the year. I will be honest, climbing is still a bit of an issue with the weight, but as I said earlier, speed is not really my priority with this bike. If it was, well, I would have gotten something a great deal lighter. There's really not much else that I think I would change about this bike. It suits my needs as it is, and I've probably got less than $400 tied up in this thing altogether. And the amount of fun that I have with this bike just far eclipses the cost of it. And at the end of the day, I'm all about having fun on bikes, any bikes, don't care what they are. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up. Below left is a link to a playlist for the Mongoose Dolomite, and below right is a link to another video which I think you'll enjoy. As always, thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate that when you do, and I hope things will be back to normal next week. And in the meantime, have a great day.